Hey everyone, welcome back to Kubrick Corner with me, Sean Wilson. So, one thing I'm aware of on this channel is that I very often don't review films, foreign language films, or as I prefer to call them, films not in the English language, because I think foreign language films is a bit of a glib phrase, to be honest. I am conscious of that, and I'm conscious of the fact that films from all over the world, like from the international community, often make some of the richest, most rewarding, and most beautiful and transcendent cinema experiences. I think there is something about stepping into another culture through the medium of film that is incredibly illuminating and incredibly exciting. And I'm going to talk about one of those films now that I saw just recently. It's on release now. It's called Cold War. It's from a director, Pawel Pawlikowski, a Polish director who is a really fantastic filmmaker. I mean, way back, he made the film My Summer of Love, which starred a breakout Emily Blunt alongside Paddy Considine. Really terrific British film. But most recently, he made the film Ida, black and white Polish film, which was very beautiful to look at. And Cold War is similarly beautiful. Like Ida, it's shot in black and white. It's shot using a what might be considered a not very conventional aspect ratio, a 4:3 aspect ratio, which means what you get is a very tall image. It's also quite compressed as well. It's a kind of square aspect ratio, which is what silent cinema was projected on back in the early days of cinema. So straight away through the visual aesthetic, as soon as the film starts, you're kind of already transported back. Even if you're not familiar with the history of aspect ratios, there's something about the way that that image is presented like that which instinctively speaks to you as a viewer. And also what it does is, because this is a very human story, it's about people under emotional duress, the height of the aspect ratio in this case very effectively accommodates the actors within the frame, as opposed to a anamorphic widescreen in which you get a very wide image like that. This isn't like that. This is like that, which basically means that you get more of a sense of intimacy with the characters in terms of how they're framed within the movie. So we pick up in Poland a couple of years after the end of World War II. This is obviously a country that's been completely desiccated. It's bereft. It's beleaguered, as are the people in it. And you pick up with where the main guy, who is basically talent scouting from around the rural Polish communities. And what they're doing is he is travelling around with a group of people in an attempt to he's bringing a group of like local Polish people together and bringing them to this prospective new music academy, in the hope that the country's national identity can be rebuilt from scratch with help from these burgeoning new musical stars. And they are basically put through their paces at this new musical academy. And out of that emerges one particular woman who has a sort of instinctive, natural singing ability. She has a beautiful voice. And what the movie then does, the movie then traverses 1947 right up until the mid 1960s, and it picks out this woman's rise to musical stardom, basically based on her natural instincts, and also how her and the person who discovered her basically crisscross and fall in love, and how their destinies sort of cross, come together, come apart again, all across the very fractured terrain of post-World War II Europe. And obviously this also then leads into the early days of the Cold War as well, the early years of the Cold War, I should say. And it's a really beautiful film to watch. Again, I already mentioned the aesthetic of the film there earlier. It's a spectacularly gorgeous film to look at. There is something about the way that the black and white is used very effectively to plug us into a very specific time and place within European history. It does feel like we are watching. The nature of the black and white makes us feel like we are watching a country that is ghostly, and the people in it are like ghosts. They are trying to reclaim their own identity in the wake of this incredibly sort of horrifying ordeal that they've been through. And the black and white complements the themes of the films very well. And how do people reclaim their sense of humanity and in the wake of all this horrible duress and persecution? And it's beautifully filmed, just like Ida. It's absolutely gorgeous. The two central performances I think are very moving, and it's probably no surprise to learn that the narrative takes increasingly sort of difficult and complicated tangents. And I think what the movie does very well is it intertwines the personal and the political very well, in terms of in the early days, the early days of this music academy, it's then co-opted by the state and used as a kind of reactionary tool to serve the state basically, and the main guy doesn't want to do that. He's not interested in that, so he leaves and drifts through various cities like Paris and so on, whereas the woman with whom he's in love, it becomes this great big sort of musical star, and their destinies appear to be traced directly to the destiny of Poland itself, and that's very, very well done. It's not laboured at all. It helps as well that the movie is between 80 and 90 minutes long, so it gets in, it does the job, it gets out. A lot of filmmakers, you know, from Poland and elsewhere would do well to understand that. And then we get to the ending, and I won't give away what the ending is, but it's been a couple of weeks since I saw this movie, and the ending still troubles me, and I'm not entirely sure in a good way. It takes a very, very, for me, it was quite an unexpected swerve into material that is far more upsetting than anything that's gone before. I believe that there are some very, very moving moments in the preceding sort of hour and a half, but then it takes a move into much darker territory, and I'm not quite sure whether the movie earns those last kind of few minutes. So I'm really, really unsure about that. I heard a couple of people coming out of the cinema behind me saying it didn't make any sense, that ending, we weren't invested enough in the characters. I'm kind of very, very split about this, because as far as I'm concerned, up until those last 10 minutes, this film was a masterpiece, beautifully shot, beautifully acted, really well scripted. It was like a time capsule that's been dug up from post-World War II Europe. I felt immersed and plugged into the landscape that the film is showing me, which is quite remarkable, really, considering that, you know, Pawel Pawlikowski is historically reenacting something. I felt utterly convinced by it. It's just those last 10 minutes I thought were very, very problematic for me. I'd love to know from other people who've seen Cold War what you think about that. I'm kind of thinking I might have to give it another go, because I think that's an important thing for film critics, to see a film once, and then if you're undecided about a particular aspect of it, to go and see it again. So if you have seen it, let me know what you think about the strengths of the film, the possible flaws of the film, and drop me a comment here at Kubrick Corner with your thoughts, and I'll see you soon. Bye.